Player gets a great shot on goal, a great open shot on goal, and then results is they miss. All right, so again, I'm focusing on defense on this one as the last one we focused on offense. This game really did point out, this team is really good about positioning and passing. So being in the correct position is very important again. So what we have again here in our defensive position, we have our two midfielders in the center of the field. That's good, right? That's the correct position for our midfielders. Should be in the middle guarding players. It would be better if the midfielder was in front of White, just in case they receive the ball, or if we needed to be able to the ball. Again, we have our defensive back coming into the middle of the field, into the space of the midfielders, when they should be maintaining the space back here. So I realize the ball is not anywhere near this player, but what this allows is this player to be in the correct position so that if they do steal the ball and these players start a run, they're in the correct defensive position to defend the ball. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it run here. They end up stealing the ball back. And here, player steals the ball. What we recognize here is our midfielder still in the middle of the field. Again, it would be better if they were protecting the front here, if this defensive player was back in their space, and if the midfielder needs to recognize this player here. So if not on the player, needs to be closer to the player so that this pass can be intercepted. But in this case, not close, pass gets through. And here's the issue with the defender not being in the correct position. So this player now has a wide open pass to two running players. And what you'll see here is this player not only doesn't go to protect, but runs into the ball where our center back is. So this would be our center back's responsibility to attack this ball. The outside defender would need to recognize and turn and look and see that there's two running players behind, but instead, runs into the ball, now having to chase a wide open player on the far side. Player gets the ball and takes a good shot on goal. So great save by the goalie. Player had wide open shot, so great opportunity there. Ball bounces off, goes out to our players, which communication here is key. So two players here now are protecting the same ball, when what we should have is this other defender, which is doing nothing in the play, is not recognizing what is going on, needs to be protecting this player here. So one of two things, either the outside defender, which in this case isn't defending anyone, should be protecting the middle where the other two defenders have gone out to attack the ball, or the central defender needed to recognize that there was a player in the middle and turn and look. So I think the correct play here would have been that for this defender here to recognize the play and come in and protect, but instead sits and watches the play, lets the player get the ball, and then still watches him shoot and score. So all of these things, like I said, they need to be improved upon. I know I'm harping on the defense this time, but there's going to be a lot of them in this video, just because this game they had a lot of scoring opportunities, and this is going to be the best learning opportunity, because if we would have had better positioning in this game, better touch in this game, the game would have been closer. These are the two things that we really need to work on. You need to be moving into your space. You need to be having a better touch on the ball. Things that we've recovered in practice, talked about multiple times. I understand that it's going to take time, but these are things we need to continue to work on, and these are the reasons why. As you can see, the game is very lopsided because of those two things. So what we have here is offensive and defensive positioning errors. So what we're showing here is, okay, we have the ball in our defensive end. I'm going to play here. We talk about this in practice as well, is the outside back here is making a run up the field, which they should be out wide to give the player a option out wide. Because if the outside defender was out wide across from our center back. That would give him an easy short pass to the side, making one of these two players have to chase, and then giving that player a free pass into the middle of the field for our midfielder. Instead, what you see is you see our center back try to make a pass all the way up to our other midfielder who's out wide on the side, resulting in a turnover because there's no lane here for this player to get to the ball. Player makes a good touch on the ball. We continue to just kick to kick. They make a good pass back to the middle. Great play here by White. As you can see, the player that had the ball was protected by one of our defenders, formerly by our wing, playing defense, and makes a great drop back into the their midfielder, right? So this is the correct position of a midfielder. He's in open space. There's nobody protecting him. What we should be having here is our midfielder should be out running to challenge the ball. Our wing player that was protecting this player here should have been on the other side of our midfielder, and the other midfielder position should have been protecting him here. So as I let it play, this player was very good with their feet, very easy to cut. As you can see, we come in, we challenge for the ball by trying to stab at the ball. He just makes simple cuts and then gets a great shooting opportunity. Right, so this is another issue of just defensive positioning, just recognizing where the players are on the field and trying to get in the same space as them. So in this case, we have the player here, which is playing the wing now. We have the back player, which is playing the defensive position. The wing player, does a good job, challenges for the ball, but what you'll notice here is the defensive player leaves the space and leaves this player open when they should be covering this player, or be at least close enough so when the pass is made to be closer for the interception. So in this case, the player is open, gets even wider. And as you can see there, what we talked about earlier with the direction of his touch. So he made not only this player made a great touch, but they made their touch into open space. So he already recognized that this player was coming into him and he had open space here. So he made his first touch back into the open field. And then what you'll see as well here is we have an open player making a player here showing that, hey, I'm open and make a run into the middle of the field. And then you have also this player here, which should be covered by our midfielder, right? So our midfielder is busy watching the ball, not scanning and looking for the players, and leaving the player that just, showed that he can just cut around and make great shots, all wide open and on his own. So as you can see here, the player made a great touch, makes another great pass. The central midfielder makes a great, challenge on the ball, but had you been in front of that player, you would have been there for the pass and not had to make that challenge, and then all the chaos that ensued after. All right. So again, I'm going to show some more defensive positioning here. So in this case here, I'm going to let it run until we stop it. All right, so there again on the attack. And what I show here is we have our outside defender that should be going out to cover the player here. We have our midfielder here that should be running the challenge for the ball. We have our other midfielder who is just walking when should be running in to maintain and try to cover this player here. As you can see, our midfielder continues to walk, is not even trying to play the midfield position. Their outside wing is making the signal, hey, I'm open, there's nobody covering me, make a pass to the inside because our defensive player is not in the correct position. You can see he makes a great ball play forward, which goes out into space, not to the player himself, but puts the ball into space to allow their wing to run to the ball. As you can see there, he gets to there first, which also draws out our center defender. So not only is our outside back in the wrong position. It's also drawn in our center defender, which is leaving the player here in the middle wide open. And then again, our outside back is not recognizing the play, which should be coming in to cover for the center back that moved out of position. So since both of them got drawn out to the outside, whether that's right or wrong, this player here in the defensive position needs to recognize that play and then needs to come over and play the center back position so that the goalie's not in a bad position. So here we go. So as the play comes in, as you can see, these two players are wide open. Again, what's nice, we made a good stop on defense, preventing them from getting an easy scoring opportunity. All right, so continuing with positioning, what we show here is the midfielder, again, out of position. So we have, again, our midfielder here that's now having to run, chase back into the midfield to protect the player they should have protecting to begin with. I'll go ahead and run it here. Player makes a good pass into the central center defender, which is good, which is on our player that's playing the center ball. And then as you can see here, what happens is the center defender gets drawn out to get to the ball. And again, our other outside back is not turning to look for any players that are coming from behind, is just running into space, needs to recognize that both players, again, are being pulled out of position, and he needs to be the one to protect the center. Go here. Results in the turnover, results in their corner. Right. So as we move on here, that becomes their corner. And we're going to move on to the next play. Again, here we have midfielder positioning. So again, our midfielder here is up with the offense, as well as our other midfielder are both up into the play, leaving the middle of the field where the midfielder should be playing to exposed players, open for free passes, which makes it easy for them to go. So in this case, our midfielder is out of position, should be covering the player here that's receiving a free ball with no one around. And then as you can see here, leaving the other player, which is now our other defender, is way up the field, leaving the outside exposed to the player, is already recognizing this and calling for the ball. Play here, so it's a good play. Makes a great play on the ball. Player has a wide open shot and takes the easy goal. So I'm going to play that one. As you can see. Oh, okay, so player again, defensive player way up the field and out of position, is leaving their player here exposed. We have our midfielder again out of position, walking back to the play. And then our other midfielder having to chase the ball, which should have been covering the player to begin with, because again, they were up with the offense when they should have been playing back into the midfielder position. There we go again, easy play field, and then the player makes a great pass or great shot into the corner of the goal.